Welcome to day 2 of the 21-day language challenge. I'm going to be learning Swedish over the next 20 days. And yesterday I created some cards on which I wrote the words that I learned yesterday on day 1. So I'm going to show you them now. I've put them up in different places in my flat. So I've got one on my fridge which says "Jag behöver," which means I need, and I can remind myself what I need from the fridge once I've learned some more vocabulary. I've got one that says "Jag tycker om" on my cupboard next to the fridge, and that means I like. So once I've learned some vocabulary, I can say what I actually like. And I've got one on the door here, which says "Jag förstår," which means I understand. So if I can't remember exactly what it means, I can always take it off and check at the back. But hopefully I won't have to do that too much. I'm also going to use an app called Evernote to write everything down. So yesterday I wrote down all the different words I learned, and today I'm also going to write down some grammar points that I read about. So I learned about genders of nouns. When I saw it, I thought that was really scary, and I freaked out a little bit. But it's actually quite easy. There are only 2 noun genders in Swedish: the common gender and the neutral gender. So that's quite simple. I'm just on my way to work, and one thing I've just learned is that verb conjugation in Swedish is quite straightforward. It only seems to have one form in the present for a lot of verbs. I mean, I don't want to kind of seem too confident yet. I'm just on my lunch break, and one of the things I'm doing is I've actually got my little cards with me, so the ones that were stuck to the fridge and to the cupboard in my flat this morning, and I'm just going over them, but I just wanted to say that the kind of important thing to remember when doing a challenge, if you're doing a language challenge like this, is to make sure that you've got a clear sort of aim and you know exactly what you're going to learn and when. So one of my aims, for example, is to learn 10 verbs in the next 4 days, and I've got some additional aims as well. But make sure you write it down and make it as formal as possible. Some of you might be wondering about, in terms of learning verbs, about things like conjugation and how you should learn this and what the best way is. I would say memorize the most important verbs that you will be using, and one of the ways I use sometimes when learning languages to figure out which ones are the most popular ones is basically go throughout my day, just write down the verbs that I use in conversations with other people, not necessarily at work, but kind of conversations at home or with your friends or family, and just write down the 10 verbs that you think you're using a lot that day, and that will give you a good indication of what's a popular verb to learn and what is not, and just focus on those. In terms of conjugation, I would say perhaps start with small steps, but also make sure that you don't sort of do too much memorization at the start, because it can put you off. So think about maybe reading a novel or like a very simple story and kind of see how these verbs are used in that context. One thing that's quite important when doing this 21-day language challenge is to really know what your sort of overall aim is. What is your goal? Why are you learning the language? And for everyone it will be different, but it's very important for you to determine that at the outset, just to kind of make it clear to yourself what it is that you're trying to achieve. And for me personally, this is something that I want to try. I want to be able to see whether I can, I'm interested in learning Swedish. But the kind of ultimate aim would be to achieve this kind of conversational level of Swedish where I could sort of go out there and meet people I went to Stockholm last year, so I probably won't be going to Sweden anytime soon, but if I met somebody Swedish in London, which is where I live, I would like to be able to chat to them and kind of talk to them about what they're interested in, what they do, and who they are. So that's my aim. And this is it for day 2, and I will see you tomorrow for day 3.